Hello friends, we are back with today's topics. Today's topics include talking about developing India and what about actually the status that it will get once it gets developed. Glacial lake floods will be our second part. Strongest earthquake in Taiwan in 25 years will be the third one. Digital payments, what and how big they have become. The importance for economy will be GS third topic. Our fourth one. Infrastructural growth and its contribution will be covered under GS 1 and third. So let us talk about the first topic, and that is path to Viksit Bharat. Why government should target per capita, not aggregate GDP. You see, India as of now is the third largest economy on the basis of purchasing power parity. India is also the fifth largest economy, having close to $4 trillion of economy on a normal basis. But when we talk about India's per capita GDP, these are even below the standards of those countries, especially in Europe, whose GDP may be in several billions dollars, but their per capita GDP is somewhere around $10,000 to $15,000 per capita. Our GDP per capita is somewhere around 2,000, 2,500 based on nominal or PPP terms. So how India that wants to become a Viksit Bharat should target the per capita GDP, not the aggregate GDP, is the author that is suggesting this in this particular article. As India is embarking on a journey to become developed by 2047, so what a developed status actually becomes. Number one, in a social infrastructure matter where education and health actually are primary. In education and health, a developed India would ensure that education, not only the primary but secondary education, also the college level education is for all. All should get enrolled. Plus, the science, technology, engineering, and management kind of studies always should be having number one, no gender discrimination. Plus, the above enrollment actually should be even either average or above average than the global standards. When we talk about the health, in health, we should number one, whatever the IMR, MMR, MMR means maternal mortality rate, or IMR means the child mortality rate, etc., infant mortality rate, etc., should be at the low level. In the health, we should ensure that the public health infrastructure reaches to the person sitting at the remotest corner. Even we should also ensure by 2047 that the disease control in India is at a particular stage where surveillance, not only surveillance, but the effective care also is available to people on the demand. So that is the health and social infrastructure. When we talk about developed India in economic terms, whenever actually suppose say as of now the developed countries status, when we talk about economy, when the economy size is around $30 trillion from the current $4 trillion, then we can become a kind of developed, we can get the developed status. So when we talk about the aggregate GDP status, close to $30 trillion, $35 trillion economy would be then considered as a aggregate GDP. But why we should target per capita? Because of number one, the population levels are in India very higher. So this is the most populous country, number one. Number two, we should target per capita because of till the time we target per capita, the normal purchasing power or capacity of the people will be decided by how much they earn or what is the amount that each person saves. Because the lifestyle standard of the people will only be considered when you have a per capita GDP or the person is contributed to the larger standards. Suppose say as of now, the United States of America is having the GDP that is of the size that is greater than any country. But its population is nowhere close to India. But why the GDP is higher? Because of the per capita contribution of the GDP is at a higher level. That's why we see number one, prosperous society. The health and education infrastructure is at a very greater level. Number third, the contribution not only in the manufacturing but other technological space is controlled and very at a higher level. So to achieve these kind of standard, these kind of livelihood, these kind of high quality jobs, so will require us to give a shot to the GDP which is higher in per capita. So when we talk about actually where India stands, so India real GDP per capita in dollar terms fall to an average of 5.9%, and 5.7% in 9 years. So why per capita must be in focus? Because the question can directly be asked in your exam that India wants to become a developed country, but to become a developed country, it should target per capita, not the aggregate GDP. How do you think about it? So first of all, you would be saying that what is a developed status means. Number two, what is the shortcomings of the aggregate GDP? And then you will say that because of the per capita GDP, we will be able to rectify those mistakes that I told you. So number one is an annual GDP growth rate of even 5% over 30% would result in an economy that is 332% or 4.232 times as of now. So India witnessed such a transformation. So now we should, number one, why we require a per capita GDP? Because of the livelihood standard of the people are to be increased. Then we require income levels of the people at a higher scale. Number two, if socio-economic infrastructure of the country and inclusive growth has to be achieved, then we require a per capita GDP. Because of, if we target per capita GDP, then the amount of discrimination between the highest person and the lowest earning person will be lesser as compared to the other countries. Number third, if there are high income levels, then the quality of the jobs will be even better. So better quality of the jobs means more earning capacity of the people, means the economy gets a major boost, and not the high demand items actually sell more, but those products actually which are produced by the MSME sector or in the middle category status of the pricing, they get the primary focus. So the economy always get as sustainable. You see, sustainability is also important. And what is the sustainability? Means the demand should arise more from the bulge of the population, not from the upper or the lower part. It does not mean that the lower population or the higher population contributes to your demand, but the bulge population, that is the middle class, should contribute to your economic demand. Until the time the supply and the demand measures are in a particular frame, then we cannot imagine an India which is having an inflationary driven sustainable economy. So that is the goal. Now comes the second topic, and that is the glacier lake floods. You see, glacial lake floods are increasing. And what is the reason? Number one, higher temperatures. Number two, because of the pollution. What happens when the carbon soot or small carbon particles, etc., when they travel from the cities because of the winds and they settle down on the mountains where the glaciers are, when they settle down on glacier, they start increasing the temperature. Because of the temperature, absorbing capacity of these carbon particles are higher, so the glacier start melting. Number two, because of the human related. Third is the human related activities. Because of the human related activities, one day or the other you are eroding the mountains, or somewhere your actions because of the emission, etc., are impacting the glacial economic system, glacial ecological system. So because of that also the glaciers time frame is getting drown. Number four is because of the some scientific instruments or because of the other mining related activities, we are also affecting the mountain ecological fundamentals. And because of that, the shaking, etc., that happens in the mountain also cause the glacier to slide and glacier to melt. So because of the melting, what is happening is the glacier lake floods phenomena is emerging. So what is glacier? Glacier is a humongous mass of ice where the ice accumulates over a period of time, and that particular ice actually becomes so large enough that it takes the form of the ice sheet, which is greater in length about kilometers. So these are called glaciers. Under the glacier, the water that is melted, etc., in this form also lies. So there is the water that is in the molten state or melted state. So when the temperatures of the glacier are quite low enough, when the ice accumulate, then the melted water is at a lower scale. But when the glaciers are melting, or the temperature of the glacier is higher, or when there snow accumulation is not happening at a particular scale, then the melted water start increasing. And this melted water actually, it causes what? It causes the glacier to slide on a particular slope. So once the glacier slides, then it takes with it not only the melted ice or semi melted ice, but also it takes away the loose debris of the mountains, even rocks of the mountain it carries. So because of that, the moraines, etc., they travel to the distances through slopes, and that causes even landslide, the glacial burst, etc. When the glacier, leaves its particular place and it slides, then the place that it has left, those places also, become a water reservoir. So the more water gets into these and the lakes actually forms, then the more water into this one also will slide down the slopes. So in this particular flood, which is called the glacial lake flood, it will be containing the unstable ice, it will be also containing the loose rocks, it will be also containing the debris of the mountains plus the water, and all these cause actually a greater, mix, and once they slide, then whatever comes in their way, that causes a very very big disaster. So how? So in Kedarnath we have seen in 2013, in Chamoli we have seen it in 2021. That's why Uttarakhand actually not talked about glacial lake flood in this particular phenomena. So glacial flood lake are disaster event that is caused by above discharge of the water, etc. So why they are under the spotlight? Because of the global climate change which is happening, and the kind of, phenomena that is together with the climate change is causing the glaciers to melt, and because of this melting, it is causing a glacial lake flood and bursting. Now because of the glacial lake floods, it is now coming under a disaster category. So because of these disasters, your human related infrastructure, livelihood opportunities of the people get affected. Even when there are more glaciers, though, so the water level, because once the glacier, melts and slide down the mountain, then those mountains will be bereft of the ice, and because of that also the temperatures of the planet start increasing more, because glaciers not only cause the perennial flow of the water for irrigation, but glacial also cause to limit the temperatures of the earth surface, because where there are glaciers, the temperatures into those areas is lesser as compared to those areas which are either in the plains or those are in the hotter side or tropical parts of the country. So that is one of the effect, that how the glacial lake flood is going to not only affect the socio-economic life of the people, but the environment and other major things and ecological balance of a particular, and then it becomes a challenge where one glacial lake burst actually causes another lake burst also to happen. Then comes the third one, and that is the Taiwan's earthquake, that is the strongest in last 25 years. As you know, Taiwan is situated in the ring of fire, or along the ring of fire. So what is ring of fire? You must know that this is a particular, around the Pacific Ocean, all those plates actually which are in the continuous, subduction and kind of, plate movement technology, plate movement, tectonics, etc. Those kind of situations are creating unstable atmosphere there. So because of the unstable geographies, the area around the Pacific Ocean always remain in vibratory mode or in the ecologically threat mode, and that causes the earthquake into that particular area. You should also know that in the ring of fire, all those mountainous systems, etc., are also in the sedimentary stage or in the building phase. So because of these are the young mountains, so because of the young mountains, they are in the building phase. That's why the plate tectonics also remain in the unstable category. And because of that also, earthquakes are higher into the ring of fire zone. So you can be asked questions in this format, that number one, tell us about ring of fire and what are the reasons behind it. So you can mention that recently, one more thing you can mention is also that the plates those are there are like North Plate, Nazca Plate, Philippines plates, Indo-Australian plates, even Caucasus plates, North American plates, Eurasian plates. So these are the plates which are in a constant motion, and because of the constant motion of the plates beneath the surface of the earth, the energy is released in huge quantities, and because of the energy is released, it causes the earthquakes, and that of a higher intensity. This morning only, you see, after Taiwan's earthquake, even Japan has also got the earthquake of around 6.9 intensity, although the tsunami warning is not is still there. Tsunami is not being early warning system is not picking up tsunami signals, but it can even cause tsunamis. And you must understand what is tsunamis. So tsunami is basically those phenomena which is based on the what is happening under the water, and because of the earthquake, etc., the water, in the ocean gets displaced in large quantities. Because of this displacement, water gets energy, and because of this energy, once they make landfall on the once they strike to the coastline, then the wave height becomes so bigger, and the energy of the quakes are also, or energy of the water waves actually so much higher, that once they arrive to the coastal area, the water actually goes to a particular kilometer levels, and because of that the flooding happens. You must know that in 2004 how hard the tsunami was. Although because of the 6.9 earthquake in Japan this morning, there is no tsunami alert as of now. So you must have understood that what is ring of fire. So ring of fire is essentially a string of hundreds of volcanoes and earthquake sites that runs along the side of Pacific Ocean. The horseshoe shaped ring, so this is a horseshoe shaped ring, is nearly 40,000 kilometers long, and it traces the meeting point of many tectonic plates. And those tectonic plates I already mentioned, like Nazca plate, North American plate, Eurasian plate, Pacific plate, this Indo-Australian plate. So these are the plates which are in the, and you can also mention that ring of fire actually also houses all those mountains which are in the sedimentary stage or the young stage which are in the building. Because once the mountain actually becomes a stable phase, then there is no volcano. But when they are in the earlier or younger phase, then the volcanoes also occur, and because of the volcanoes, the large energy that's popped out of the earth, that also causes the earthquakes happen in a very, very higher intensity. We now want to move on to the fourth one, and that is the digital payment ecosystem. First of all, you should understand what is a digital payment ecosystem. So all those payments which are facilitated by either internet or internet based services are basically under the category of digital payments. Examples like NEFT, examples like UPI. UPI means Unified Payment Interface, that is managed by the National Payment Corporation of India, NPCI. So these phenomena also are under the digital payment ecosystem. So how does the digital payment ecosystem affects your economy? Number one, what is it bring to? It reduces the cost of settlement. When the payment and settlement mechanism works, how it works, so it reduces the cost of it. Whoever is sending money to another party, if the cost of sending that money is lower, then it creates a good kind of competitiveness in the product also. It causes convenience to the person. It also enables the person who is sitting at the last section of the society or the remotest section of the society, so he can also transact in the formal financial manner. So these are the positive effect of the economy. Even there are major sectors of the economy, especially in the online field, which are dependent on the digital ecosystem. And when a person who can transact from sitting in any corner, so that also creates a particular cycle system. When more products are sold and the demand is created, and because of the lower level of cost, etc., you can demand in the economy gets increased, so the economy upliftment also happens. So this is how the digital ecosystem works. So when we talk about the UPI ecosystem, you should mention that, and you can mention this data in your answer also, that close to 6,500 crore, 6,577 crore transactions were this was the volume size in up to December 2023, in whole 2023 year. So up to like that 6,577 crore transaction has happened, and with a value of close to 100 lakh crore rupees. So in an economy where the payment ecosystem is helping to settle this much payment ecosystem, then you can understand that how convenient, how cost effective manner of sending the money is. So this is how the digital infrastructure also help, and where you can utilize whenever we are talking about the infrastructural growth for India is at a particular level where, or digital infrastructure is at a particular level where we are standing even greater than the developed countries of the world, then you can mention that this is a particular phenomena which is emerging because of the country, and the startups, those are contributing to this particular effect. So that is one of the way in which the digital transaction of our country is happening, and the startups are also blooming on this particular aspect. We now come to the fifth one, and that is the infrastructural development to boost the GDP growth. So what is the infrastructural development? Infrastructural development can be in the form of socio-economic infrastructure on the basis of education and health. It can be on the basis of hard infrastructure, hard infrastructure in the sense that, you create roads, you create highways, you create, airports, you create real estate, you create all those things which are in the movable and in the immovable format. So these are the hard infrastructure. How the hard infrastructure enables you? Because of once you lay down the roads, once you lay down the railway lines, etc., then your mobility of the people also become easier. Once the mobility between two cities is easier, then the people can go from one city to another within a particular time frame, and that time frame actually also causes us to frequent travel, and that also causes an upliftment to the economy. Even when there are faster movement of the goods also, then those goods which are in the perishable category, all those goods also can be transported to the demand side or demand side markets, so that actually that vulnerability to the shelf life of the product also goes lower, and the agriculture people, etc., gets a major enhancement. When the infrastructure is also higher because of the higher mobility, the other side, like costing or the logistic cost of the economy also reduces. Logistic cost you should understand in this manner: when a particular product is made, and once it is particularly prepared, and then after how it is sent to the consumer, in that particular time frame, whatever comes along the way comes under the logistic part of the product category. So what is logistic? Means a packaging, means a transporting, means how much channels you have, wholesale, retail, etc. So once you facilitate a transport which is at a very very easier level, and the transport which is not only less time consuming but also less costly, then the logistic cost of the economy also reduces. What is the logistic cost of economy as of now? Around 13 to 14% of our GDP. So when the logistic cost of our economy is 13 or 40% as compared to 8 to 9% for the developed countries, you can understand that how much effect it creates actually, not only in inflation, but also making products anti-competitive or non-competitive as compared to other countries whose logistic costs are lower. So to even improve the logistic cost of the particular product, the infrastructural part is also necessary. Another is infrastructure also help you to generate employment and gain a quality life also, because when the cities infrastructure are also improved, then the people who are living there will get a better way of life, and even the infrastructure will provide them a quality of life. Those people who are preparing the infrastructure will get a job, maybe in the form of say construction, maybe in the form of engineering. All those sector will get benefited out of it. That's why you must know that whenever the countries are in the shambles or the economic growth is on a lower side, how much boom the infrastructure can provide. And you must also understand that how much China is spent on its infrastructural story that time. So because of the China's infrastructural bust, China continuously had around 9 to 10% of the GDP, and how it actually became a marvelous economy for the globe. Even China's export competitiveness was also dependent on the kind of shipping lines, on the kind of road lines, on the kind of electricity picture, etc., that it caused to lay down. So India is also going along the same paths, where expressways are being built, where the new shipping waterways, etc., are being built, where the electricity is also being made available 24/7, and that too on a reliable manner to the industry at large, where the financial sector is also being led down to promote the real-time settlement of payment and settlement mechanism, where you can say that the education and health are being taken care of by a very very big quantity, where not only enrollment but where quality of education is also being looked upon, where the health, where the disease control, surveillance, etc., are also being taken care of, so corona kind of situation does not get repeated. So these are all the things where the economy is trying to negotiate, where lot many airstrips are also being developed, so that the small sections of the society or small cities also come under the air travel route. Through that you improve the tourist destination potentials. So these are all things which are happening in the infrastructural side, and the infrastructure also creates an entire chain of manufacturing. You must know that India wants to become a manufacturing powerhouse. its Make in India approach or Make in India program largely depends on the kind of infrastructure that we provide to them. Because whenever a company wants to make up its plan in a particular territory, then it requires a better connectivity either through road or water or air, etc. It requires a reliable power supply. It requires a continuous supply of skilled labor. So skilled labor is also part where you should also improve on to facilitate the infrastructural growth. So the skilled manpower it requires. Then to house those infrastructural or employment level people, you also require the housing and the real estate. You also require the logistic cost also to be reduced. So that's why the product that particular company makes can be shipped out faster, and their logistic cost also remain lower. So that's why their cost of the product remains at a range bound level. So these are all the things through which we can improve the manufacturing and Make in India policy.
For more such videos, you can like the button and subscribe the channel. Thank you.